Hi guys, welcome. I'm Mr. Roundy, and in today's video lesson we're going to be getting an introduction to the order of operations. So let's say we get started. Let's look at today's lesson objective. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to use the order of operations to solve expressions using add, subtract, multiply, and divide. What are operations? Operations are those simple math computations that you've been learning about since you started school. Add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Now, if we go back a couple slides, it says that we are going to be able to solve expressions. Well, what is an expression? A numerical expression is a combination of numbers and operations. Here's an example. An example would be 2 plus 6 times 3. Notice we've got two different operations, and we have got 2, 6, and 3 numbers. So we've got a nice combination of numbers and operations. So we have a numerical expression. Just a fancy word for problem. Now, what is order of operations? The order that operations should be performed in a numerical expression is what we refer to as order of operations. Pretty much we're saying that there's a set way to do these problems. How would you solve this expression if you had to do it on your own? Most of us would probably just start here at the beginning and work our way across. So we would start out and we would do 4 plus 5, which would be 9. We would times that by 2, which would get us 18. Then we would minus that by 1, which would get us 17. Kind of the same way that we read. However, there are some people out there who might do that in a different way. Some people might just do it by going 5 times 2 is 10. 4 plus 10 is 14. Minus 1 is 13. Or others might start from the back and work their way to the front. 2 minus 1 is 1. 5 times 1 is 5. 4 plus 5 is 9. So you can see that there's a lot of different ways that we could do this problem. And it can get a little confusing if you don't know what order to do things in. So that's why we have order of operations, the order that operations should be performed in for a numerical expression. So, what are the rules? For numerical expressions using order of operations, we first multiply and divide left to right. Second, we add and subtract from left to right. Let's take a look at what this would really look like. Let's say I've got 3 times 4 plus 10 divided by 2. Now, if I'm following the order of operations that we just learned about, I'm going to first multiply and divide from left to right. So I start over here on the left side of the problem, and I'm going to work my way across to the right. And I'm going to find all of the multiply and divide signs. So I have here a multiply and a divide. So I'm going to start on the left and work my way to the right. I will do 3 times 4, which is going to get me 12. And then I'm going to go over to the divide. I skip the addition, and I do 10 divided by 2, which is going to get me 5. Now, I need to make sure that since I haven't used this plus sign, I'm going to bring it down and put it between those two numbers, keeping it in the exact same place that it was before. Now I go to what I'm supposed to do second. Second, I'm supposed to add and subtract left to right. Well, the only thing I've got left to add right here is 12 plus 5 equals 17. Now, the reason that they've set up the order of operations is because mathematicians discovered that if they didn't have a set order, everybody's going to do things a little bit differently. So this helps to make sure that all expressions are solved the same way by different people. So we've just solved one operation. Not too bad. Let's try out one more. How about trying this one? 40 minus 8 times 3 plus 6 times 5. Now, I've got to make sure that I find all my multiply and divide first. So, I'm going to go left to right, and I'm going to circle all my multiply and divide signs that I see. And that's all I've got. I've got 2 multiply in this problem. So, I'm going to now multiply and divide left to right. So I do 8 times 3 gets me 24. I get 6 times 5 gets me 30. I bring down everything that's left over, keeping it the exact same as it was. So I had a 40 and a minus sign left over and a plus sign. Now I'm going to add and subtract left to right. Now it doesn't matter if it's add or subtract that comes first. We're just going to work our way from left to the right. So let's start with 40 minus 24. 40 minus 24 is going to get me 16. If I do plus 16 plus 30, that's going to get me 46. And that's my answer. Now, right now it seems real easy to just do these problems in your head, but I assure you, as you get further into order of operations, they will become more complex. And it's very important that you learn from the very beginning to show all your work. Otherwise, you might miss a step and cause you to get the wrong answer. Finally, let's see how order of operations applies in real life. So we have Bob and his 2 friends. Bob and his 2 friends decide that they're going to go out on the town for an evening out. Each of them has to pay $1 for their bus fare. At dinner, they spend a total of $20. And each person decides they're going to pitch in $1.50 for the tip. Now, what we want to know is how much did Bob spend and his friends spend while they were out on the town. So, we're going to set up a numerical expression to do this. First, we're going to find out how much they spent on their bus ride. They had 3 people, and each person spent $1. So in order to find that, we're going to do 3 times 1. Now, we know that they spent a total of $20 at dinner. So I'm going to add 20 to how much they've spent so far. Next, I know that they each spent $1.50 for the tip. So I'm going to add that to their total. Now if each person did that, that means I'm going to have to do 3 times $1.50. Now that I have a numerical expression, I can solve to find out how much these 3 friends spent for their evening out. Let's start by finding all of the multiply and divide left to right, because order of operations says first find multiply and divide left to right. So I find a multiply and I find a multiply here. So 3 times 1 gets me a total of $3. And 3 times $1.50 gets me a total of $4.50. Now I bring down everything that's remaining. So I bring down the plus, I bring down the 20, and I bring down another plus. And I keep them in the same order they were before. Now, if I add these together, I should find out how much Bob and his friends spent. So 3 plus 20 gets me $23. And if I do the plus 450, I'll end up with a total of $27.50. Now that we've finished our lesson, let's go back and review our objective to make sure that we've met our goal. Our objective was to be able to use order of operations to solve expressions using add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Can you do that? If you can, then great job. You've completed your objective for today. If you can't, I suggest reviewing the video some more until you can. Good luck and have a great day.